Hello artists, welcome to your coil vase art class. My name is Miss M, and today in front of you, you should have your slab of clay. Underneath it, place your wax paper, and then underneath that, your plate. And this is just a way to kind of carry off your vase a little bit carefully at the end, so it's a nice little holding plate for your creation. Also, in addition, you should have a cup of water, a large brush, a small brush, a paper towel, a colored pencil. It doesn't matter what color it is. We're going to use it to carve and clean a little bit later. And then you should have your terracotta, which is kind of like that orangish brown color, and your white paint. If you do not have all those materials, not a problem. You're welcome to push pause and come back whenever you're ready. So the first thing we're going to do in our coil vase painting class is grab our piece of clay and pretty much get it into a round baseball or round sphere shape. I'm going to hold my hands like a C, backwards C, and just kind of go back and forth and get this shape nice and round. Get all those air bubbles out. So the first step is just kind of using your hands in a C, backwards C formation, and just like a baseball, just kind of going back and forth and getting it nice and round. We'll do this for another 10-15 seconds. Once you are done, hold your piece of clay in your hand and you are going to cut it in kind of like a 25% versus 75% cut. So I'm just going to use my finger and I'll show you on mine. The center is over here. I'm going to go a little bit to the left. So I have about 25% of my clay on the left side and 75% of the clay on the right side. And once I use my finger to kind of cut a little bit into it, then I can use my left hand to just kind of cut off that 25%. So you have your 25% and your 75% of your clay. And you can just kind of put the 75% of the clay away because we're going to start with the smaller piece. And we are going to get it nice and round again. So you can kind of go back and forth. Get it to a nice sphere shape. Shouldn't take too long. It's a much smaller piece. And once you're done getting into a nice round piece, you can use the palm of your hand to push down on it and almost like spread it out into a pancake shape. You can turn your plate and kind of move your arm as you need and get it into a nice round shape. And you don't want it to be too thin because this is going to be the bottom area of your vase, so not any thinner than about this thick. You're going to have a nice base for your vase. And I just kind of use my palm to push it out. And you'll see the outside of the plate. The circular part is right here. I don't want to get too wide with it because I want to make sure the good amount of thickness for the base of the vase. And I am going to use my colored pencil to cut around it, making sure it's nice and circular all the way around. If yours has a nice circular shape, you don't have to use your colored pencil to shape it. But if you want, you can, again, use this colored pencil, kind of go on the outside of it, or if you want to go a little bit on the inside of it, make sure it's nice and round. Mine kind of became like an oval shape, so I'm going to go in there and push down on the left side a little bit more. And be sure you don't have a side that's way thinner. You want to make sure the thickness is pretty consistent all the way around. can use your fingers to kind of push in. You want to make sure it's nice and round and not too thin. And again, if you already have a nice circular shape, you don't have to cut off any excess areas. I'm just gonna put this extra piece over with my other clay. And with your pointy finger, you can always dip it in the water and smooth out your clay, because you definitely want this piece to be nice and smooth. It'll be easier to paint later on. Even get the outer kind of round areas. Be nice and smooth, not too wet. There you go. Once you are done with this round piece, you want to get a good amount of clay, maybe a good chunk of clay, maybe about that much. It's a good amount of clay, kind of comparing it to the circular piece I have. And with this piece, we're gonna turn it into like a coil, which means we're gonna get that shape of a snake. You can go kind of further out on each end, because this coil has to wrap all the way around our circular shape. So I'm just kind of rolling back and forth with my hand. Those thicker spots, I'm just kind of going over them to thin them out. You can find those areas so it's a little bit more even. You can always go back and add more clay if you need to. I might have to go back. So that's not that much. Testing it out. Might go back for a little bit more clay. Just gonna add to it. Add to the end, and just gonna keep coiling my clay piece. It fell off, so I'm gonna attach it here in a moment. Gonna combine the two and blend them. And test it out. Make sure it goes all the way around. Again, I have a piece right there that's kind of hanging off, so I'm gonna make sure those two work together. All the way around, it's nice and sturdy. You don't want any thin areas, or it will start falling off. This is a good amount. And again, you can always go back and add some more. I'm gonna add some more over here. Just kind of work it in. Make sure it's nice and round all the way. I see another thinner spot right here. So I just go back and add more, make sure it's nice and round. And you definitely want to have that kind of snake shape, so be sure everything is nice and round. Again, you can go back and add some more. Make sure it fits all the way around. Just gonna push with your hands. If you need to, just make sure it's nice and round from the beginning to the end, like so. We'll smooth it out here in just a moment, but you just want to make sure you have a good shape and it goes all the way around. Once you're done getting that first coil, so you have your circle shape and your coil shape, you're going to go in there with your colored pencil and make little lines just kind of slanted and to the right. You want to stay on the outer part of your circle, avoid the center. It's kind of going around, making slanted lines, almost like rain is falling down and to the right. You can go back and do another one. And this right here is called scoring. When I go in there and make these lines, I'm also going to score my coil piece. So I'm going to take that colored pencil. Be sure you don't have too much excess on there. You can always put it on the other piece of clay. And I'll be coming down the other way, so from the top right corner down, So I'm going down and to the left. This is working on the top part of my coil, going down and to the left, all the way around. And again, this is called scoring. Once I'm done scoring, I'm going to use my pointing finger again and add some water to on top of where I've scored. So some water here, some water here. So scoring and slipping. And this is going to act like a glue to my two pieces of clay. They're going to kind of attach together with the scoring, and they're going to kind of come together with the water. So all I'm going to do now is just going to turn that piece carefully and attach the two. If yours broke, that's totally fine. You can always fix it. I had a little bit of an excess amount, but be sure it's just kind of holding on close to the shape of your circle, your base of your vase. So they're pretty much side by side here. And I scored and I slipped and I attached the two. I'm just going to push down on it so the two kind of form together. So scored, slipped, and then the next thing I'm going to do is blend. And by blending, I'm just using my finger to bring the top part down a little bit. And I'll use my left hand to hold the outer area so it doesn't fall back. And if you're left-handed, you're pretty much doing it the opposite way. So if you wanted to, you can use your left hand more to kind of blend and your right hand to kind of hold the outside. So now I'm just blending the pieces together. If you want, you can always add a little bit of water to help blend, to smooth out as well. So as you're going, if you feel like there's a lot of cracks or you're creating cracks in there, you can use water. But again, I'm just using my pointing finger again to help blend those two pieces together, get out all the little air bubbles. And once I have it blended all the way around, I can go in there and smooth out this piece a little bit easier. So my first coil, be sure it's on there nice. Use your hands to kind of curve all the way around. Then you can use your finger to smooth it out. That's including the sides too. That takes off. You could do this method now, or you could wait till the end, but you could also use your colored pencil to kind of go between the two creases. Don't push too hard because you don't want to go all the way through, but that'll clean up any kind of extra clay on the outside. So again, you can do that at the end once everything's been built, or if you want to do that as you're building up on your coil vase, you can definitely do that. Once I'm done with that shape, I'm gonna get another good chunk, maybe a little bit more this time. I'm gonna roll it, make sure it's about the same size as the one before. If able to, you can even roll it onto the table, but you definitely don't want to get any chunks of clay. So if you're at school and you're worried about getting some on the desk, maybe do your best just to kind of hold it in your hand. And we're going to be pretty much doing the same thing as we did before, where we're going to score, slip, blend, and just kind of touch up our coil piece. Again, if you are at school, and maybe double check with the teacher if they don't want you to be adding any clay pieces, but it does wash off, so you can always go like this as well. So once I'm done creating this piece, double check, make sure the width's okay. You can use your clean colored pencil, so any big chunks, just kind of put them to the side. I'm gonna come down to the right. With my scoring, come down to the right, all the way around. And then with my coil piece, I'm gonna go the opposite direction. I'm gonna go up and to the right. And again, this is kind of helping the two grasp together. And then I'm gonna add water to both areas. And attach. Push down on it so you know that the two are working together. And you can kind of peel off any extra amount. Push down on it again. Make sure they're nice and tight. Use your hands to go all the way around. Remember, we're gonna start blending too inside. You're gonna want those two pieces to kind of come together nice and smooth all the way around. So they start kind of working together. Push down a little bit, get it nice and smooth, and I want to definitely get rid of this crack where the two ends meet. So use some water, get it nice and smooth. Again, you can always go in there and add pieces to it, so I feel like this might be a little bit too thin, so you can always go in there and add a little bit of a rounder piece and just blend it in. I'm going to use my thumb to go in there and just going to blend it in a little bit more. Once you're done blending the inside, you can go in there and use a little bit of water, kind of smooth out the top part, smooth out the outside of it. And again, if you wanted to use your colored pencil, be sure there's no little bits of clay on there. You can use that to kind of clean up the outside edge as well. Again, you can use your hand to kind of get that shape exactly where you like it. You want everything to be nice and smooth. We'll be doing the same thing again for a third coil on top. So again, be sure that it's going to be the same size as the two of them that we've previously done. And it takes a moment. You don't feel like your pot's going to be perfect the first time around. You always got to go back and clean it up and kind of play with the shape. Again, I'm going to get a good chunk of clay, not that much. Roll it, roll it, roll it. If you're allowed to, roll it on the table. It does clean off, you just have to get a wet paper towel later. whatever works best. Sorry for my shaky table. Making another coil shape. Put my plate back. Same as usual, be sure your colored pencil doesn't have any extra clay. Down to the right with my scoring. Go, 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 all the way around. And then with my coil shape, I'm gonna go up and to the right. And I'm gonna slip with my finger, add water to the two attaching areas, and then I'll blend to where I make the pieces work together. So I'm gonna flip, double check, make sure beforehand that the sizes work together. And then you can push down to make sure that piece is working. I'm gonna use my thumb or your pointy finger, whichever one you feel is gonna work better. You can get it a little bit wet if you need to. Smooth out any bumps. If it kind of falls apart, you can always go back and add more or try again. Go in there and just kind of push down on my colored pencil to clean out the sides. Where the two separate. So each coil is separated. And make sure that shows in your vase. So slowly it's coming together. So you have your 3 coil pieces in there, and of course you can always go in there and clean it up some more. It takes a moment. All right. Our next coil pieces are gonna be a little bit different. So we are gonna kind of roll up into like a snake shape. Again, so that coil shape. And you can use the table if you want to. Get it nice and round. And with this one, you're gonna kind of roll it up like a snail. So you're gonna bring the head in and roll it. Ooh, make sure you don't have any space between it. So you don't want any thing to be kind of poking through. Get these fun coil shapes. And with the coil shapes, kind of like that snail shape, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're gonna have it to where you have 5 layers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then same thing that we did before. We're gonna use the bottom of it to score and slip. So I rolled it to where there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers. And then I'm gonna score it, excuse me, on the bottom. Score it on the bottom of this one too. Oops, sorry. Bottom to the right. I'm gonna slip it. Slip it. There we go. So this one's going to the right. This one's going up and to the right. Let me try that again. And then I'm gonna attach those two. It's kind of a weird feeling, but it just kind of attaches the two, and then you can use your fingers to attach it or blend them together. Let me do that again. So I'm gonna do this all the way around. So I'm gonna get another piece. I'm gonna try to do about the same amount all the way around. So I'm gonna take the end, foil it in, or fold it in. 1, 2, 4. Let's see, that one's a little bit thicker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just gonna break off any extra. And I'm gonna smooth that out. That one was kind of bumpy. Again, if you want, you can use, your table if you're allowed to kind of roll it back and forth. Be sure the thickness of the coils are pretty much the same. And then I'm gonna score it. I'm just gonna go to the right of it. 1, 2, 3, come down to the right. And then 1, 2, 3, up to the right. I'm gonna slip, and I'm gonna make sure that the two are side by side. And again, you can use your colored pencil to kind of clean up the middle area. 1 and 2. I'll be doing this all the way around. Make sure it's long enough to where you can fold it many times. Ooh, sorry about that. Fold the inside. Keep on going round and round. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Again, I have kind of like 5 layers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Use my finger to smooth it out. Kind of score and slip it on the bottom. And these just kind of stick together, so you don't have to really worry about scoring and slipping them, because they're going to be attached by the bottom. 1, 2, 3. Going down to the right. 1, 2, 3. Going up and to the right. And attaching the two. And blending it, making sure they kind of stick together. can just start adding them from either end as long as they're side by side. You're pushing down so they're not going anywhere, and then blending. Kind of pushing down with your finger, get it to blend with the coil underneath it. Always go back and double check, make sure they're kind of working together nicely. I'll make sure to add enough clay to to everyone's bag so you have enough clay. Pretty even all the way through. Start bringing your snail shape in. Make sure there's no holes. If your coils aren't sticking together too well, you can always use your finger to kind of blend them together. So they're kind of detaching, you can use your finger to kind of help them blend together a little bit better with some water. Make sure they're nice and tight next to each other. Looks like I might need 2 or 3 more, probably 3 more. Slowly that shape is coming together. It's really cute. Making sure everything is on there nice and tight. just need one more. If you have too much space or not enough space, you might just have to push down to make it smaller, or you can add more clay or widen it to make it fit in that last little space. But down to the right, up to the right, add water, place it where you like. Smooth everything out and blend. If you need to stand up to kind of see the center a little bit better now, but all of your sides should be nicely filled up. Use your finger to make everything nice and smooth. Again, you can use your colored pencil to go in there and just kind of clean it up. Make it nice and neat. And all we're gonna do is add just 2 more foils on top to kind of, again, keep this nice and sturdy and build it up a little bit more. And we're gonna be doing the same as we did before, just long coils, 1 and 2. I do wanna make them a little bit smaller, so a little bit shorter, so they can kind of come in a little bit more for our vase shape, just to kind of cave in a little bit more. So once you're done with all those coils going round and round like a snail shape, you can take your time if you're still working on this, but we're just gonna be making more coils. Them to be a little bit smaller, or shorter, excuse me. So I almost like just gonna cave in. So make sure. So I'm kind of coming in a little bit more rather than on further out. So I'm just gonna attach it like so. And we do have to score and slip the tops of these. So just be sure you're being very delicate. Don't push too hard. I'm just doing down to the right. And then I'm doing, move this out of the way. Up to the right. And I'm gonna slip this one too. And then just gonna flip over and they'll attach. Again, it's gonna be coming more in towards the middle than before. And push down on it, make sure it's nice and sturdy. Might add a little bit more right here. And round it out, make sure it's nice and round like the other areas of that coil. Push in a little bit. You can make it blend with the coils underneath it with your thumb or your pointy finger to help it attach a little bit better. Like so. So cool. And I'll make one more coil that's gonna sit on top, that's gonna come in even more. And again, before we paint here in a couple minutes, you can always go back and touch up these little creases and clean them up with your colored pencil. You have one more coil to do. Making sure it's nice and long enough for the top. Double check, make sure. I might add a little bit of this piece, last piece of clay right here. Kind of attach it. think we should be good. Yep. Bring this piece over here. Make sure our colored pencil is nice and clean on top. Score down to the right. Up to the right. I'm gonna slip. I'm gonna bring this in so you can see it better. I'm gonna slip. And then same with my coiled piece. I'm gonna slip, flip it over. Again, I'm gonna come more on the inside so it's caving in a little bit. Smooth out where the two meet. Again, be sure you're pushing down after you're done attaching the two. So they're on there nice and tight. Again, you can kind of bring your hands in, be very careful, kind of help the shape. You can use your time to kind of clean the outside shape too. Make sure everything looks nice and smooth all the way around. Doesn't have to be perfect. We want to get rid of any kind of extra little bumpy areas of clay. You want it to be nice and smooth. You can use your hands to kind of form it. You can go in from the inside and push out if you need to. Just be careful. Maybe use your other hand to hold the outside so it doesn't push too hard.